statistical, mathematical fact
never has been down.
has broken every single record. There is no asset that has come close.
It's the only thing in the industry that was not touched, that was not hacked, and it never fails doing what it promised in 2009. It's never
What's
failed.
the best performing asset the world has ever seen? And you'll find out.
Good morning, traders. Good morning, Bitcoiners. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I want to welcome you to another live X Spaces. Come on in, make yourselves comfortable, grab the beverage of your choice, maybe even grab something to take notes with. I think we're going to talk about something really fascinating today. And the topic was spurred by a number of comments, as usual, that I received in as a result of some of my posts over the last few days. And one of the things that I realized is that there's a tremendous, in my opinion, of course, all of this is from my opinion. I can give you no other's opinion, but from my opinion, it's apparent to me that there is a tremendous lack of understanding about what money is. And I think that is pretty much universal across the world, that there are very few people really understand money at its fundamental level. Most people wouldn't be able to define what money is. And it's not by mistake and that is not anyone's fault, by the way, because it is not by mistake that money is not taught to our children, in our schools, in our educational system. It is purposefully left out of the entire educational process, because I believe that if there were a thorough understanding of money and the goings on that surround what is called money today, that most people around the world would revolt. And we certainly, and the elites certainly can't afford revolt. Why? Because there's far more people as a part of the masses than there are elite. So it is not by mistake that there's a fundamental misunderstanding about money. And I believe that only a few individuals who really take the initiative to go down the rabbit hole of money truly get a thorough understanding of money. But I promise you that on my watch, you're going to have a better understanding of money than most people floating around on X or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, or any other social media networks out there. I make this a central theme with my traders and those of the people who are in my family. I make sure that they do have a thorough understanding of money, how money works, and what's at the fundamental core of what money is today, and what are the fundamental problems that are inherent in that foundation of what we call money today. And that is actually, we're going to touch upon some of those aspects in this talk today. Now, before I delve into the topic, as usual, I need to remind everyone here who has been here before, and certainly this is important for those who are experiencing one of my spaces for the very first time. I am not one of these space givers, for lack of a better term, that sort of hands the mic to someone else to speak. I find it far more productive if I start off our spaces session with a monologue, a very centralized theme, if you will, that I speak about for a period of time. And during that theme or during that monologue, and certainly after, I take your questions based on that one very focused topic. And I think that over time, if we put together topics like this, we can string together something that I think becomes over time very cohesive and very powerful as far as our understanding of money, for that matter. So without any further ado, I strongly encourage that you grab something to take some notes on if you really want to take this seriously. I am going to throw out some things that my family members sort of know, but perhaps maybe some of the people joining me here from the outside are not really familiar with some of these things. And so I put out a post recently, today, that dealt with the declining purchasing power of the US dollar. Now, as most of you know, the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, which means that it dominates the vast majority of all economic goings on throughout the globe. And it's not the first world reserve currency, but of course, it is our 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 current one. And one can argue that it has been the most powerful and most effective world reserve currency up to date. Now, like all currencies, there is a lifespan, an average lifespan to currencies. There's an average lifespan to world reserve currencies, those currencies that basically the vast majority of the world decide to do business and conduct their affairs with. There's an average lifespan for world currencies, and there's an average lifespan for currencies that fall outside of world reserve currencies. And that's something that I think is important to understand or know. All right. The average lifespan of a world reserve currency is approximately 150 to 200 years. All right. I think that's a very important number to understand. The average life expectancy, the average lifespan of a world dominant reserve currency is about 150 years. Maybe some have reached as much as 200 years. Now, this is directly tied to world powers as well, because historically, he who owns the most gold, and later, he who owns the most military might, basically makes the rules. And the person historically, or the country or the empire that owned the most gold and or later owned the most military might, they made the rules. And therefore, as a result of their ability to make the rules, they had or established the world reserve currency. Now, world reserve currencies last on average about 150 to 200 years, but this ties directly into the lifespan of world powers. Now, let's go all the way back to the beginning so that we can build our understanding step by step. Empires historically used to last thousands of years. There was the China Empire, which was over 1,000 years. Some people would argue that Rome lasted 1,000 years. I think that's more rhetoric than actual historical fact. But the point is that historically, it was not uncommon for ancient societies, ancient kingdoms, ancient empires to last for millennia. All right. And later, of course, that would actually be quite substantially reduced in time in terms of duration. World powers moved from lasting 1,000 years or more to, on average, about 500 years. So things shifted because as the world gets faster, the lifespan from birth to death of almost all things becomes faster as well. So a speed up in overall life, which is driven by a speed up in technological innovation and advancement, this speeds up this rapid speed up in terms of our ability to do things actually also speeds up the duration or lifespan of every single thing that exists. And so those two things are inextricably intertwined. All right. And so the world was a lot slower, and therefore empires went from birth to death a lot slower. As the world became faster, world powers moved to having a lifespan from thousands of years to approximately half that, 500 years. And the world powers that fall arguably in the 500-year category are sort of Great Britain. One can say the Spanish Empire. One can say the the Dutch Empire, the Ottoman Empire. There are a variety of empires or world powers that lasted on average around that 500-year mark. Today, I would argue that modern powers are lasting between 200 to 300 years. And this trend will not stop. That almost everything trends toward zero as technological innovation speeds up the duration and the process of life, which also speeds up the duration of things that go from birth to death. Now, this is really interesting. So if the average world power, the average world power lasts 200 to 300 years, you can sort of see how the average world reserve currency lasts about 150 to 200 years. And this perfectly makes sense because a world power's dominant currency does peak out before the world power loses its status as the world power. The decline of its key currency does peak out and decline before the empire declines. So the collapse of a world reserve currency will begin before the collapse of the empire that controls and manipulates that world reserve currency. So these time frames, these lifespans sync up rather perfectly. Now, as far as currencies are concerned, the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, conducted a survey. I believe it was back in 2018. I could have that year wrong, but I believe they conducted this survey back in 2018, and they revealed in that study that the average lifespan of a fiat currency since 1945 was only 25 years. Now, remember, I just said the average lifespan of a world reserve currency is on the average of about 150 years, maybe if you're lucky, 200 years, but it's closer to that 150-year mark. What I'm saying now is that the BIS in their 2018 study revealed that all other currencies that do not enjoy that privilege of being the world reserve currency, they have an average lifespan of 25 years. Now, this was a study that was conducted on all currencies that basically came into existence since the year 1945, since the dollar became the world reserve currency. 25-year lifespan from birth to death, gone forever, never before to be seen. And what I believe that a lot of people miss is that all currencies have one destination, and that is total, absolute annihilation and death. There is no currency today that has the possibility of rising. And the notion that a currency rises in value is absolutely wrong. A rising currency is nothing more than a currency that is declining slower than the basket of other currencies that it's being measured against. It is impossible for a currency to go up in value. It is impossible for it to gain in value. A currency, by definition, is designed to go to zero. This is why you don't see any Roman denariuses floating around, right? You don't see any ancient coins from different societies floating around today. You don't even really see any Italian lire floating around today. It's gone. Or the French franc. It's practically gone, right? Currencies do not last forever. They all go to zero. There is a cemetery of thousands and thousands and thousands of currencies that have existed before. There's more dead currencies than there are currencies alive. The currencies that exist today number about 200. And believe it or not, Bitcoin is the 20 or 23rd most valuable currency out of 200 in the entire world. And it's accomplished that in only 14 years, which is quite amazing. But I digress. We'll come back to that. So the BIS tells us, based on their study in 2018, that the average normal currency that is not a world reserve currency has a 25-year lifespan based on all currencies that have come into existence since 1945. Now, this lifespan is actually rapidly declining. Fiat currencies introduced after 1990, not 1945, 1990 and onward, those currencies have an average lifespan of only 15 years. And so, do you see something common here? The average kingdom used to last over 1,000 years. That dropped in half to about 500 years. And now it's about 200, 250 years. It keeps getting halved and halved and halved. The trend towards zero is forever. It will never stop. It'll never stop in your lifetime. It'll never stop in the lifetimes of your generations to come. This is just the way it is. Alongside the kingdom's lifespans being declined, being reduced in half and half, their currencies also go from 25 years to 15 years, and this will continue to trend smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter lifespans. All currencies go to zero. Now let's go on to companies. All right, because I think this is interesting. I've spent my life not only analyzing companies, but trading companies and investing in companies for 43 years of my life. This is where I had spent all of my energy, all of my focus, all of my skill, all of my talent on. I know nothing else but this. Okay, companies. Companies used to be rather common for a company to last over 100 years. It used to be rather normal for an enterprise run by a family to last generation after generation. A blacksmith, a shoesmith, an orange grower. Do you understand? A farmer. These farms have been, which is a business in and of itself. These farms have lasted from generation to generation, have lasted hundreds of years. There are shoe shops. There are bakery shops in Paris. I've been to them that are older than the United States. It used to be rather common for enterprises to last from generation to generation for hundreds of years. Today, the average lifespan of a dominant powerhouse of a company, I am talking about a company that dominates its space, that dominates its field, that is number one in everything it does. The average lifespan of a superior dominant company is 61 years. From hundreds of years to 61 years. And we're talking about the Amazons of the world. The average lifespan of a public company in the US, not a dominant company, not a number one company, not an Amazon like Behemoth. The average lifespan of a public company in the US is less than 12 years. Oh, yes, you heard that right. Less than 12 years. Now, it should not be a surprise that most companies that come into existence don't even have a 5-year lifespan. Most companies fail, and they fail for a lack of proper capital and a variety of other things. But lack of proper capital is right up there in number one, and it always will be. Okay. But we're not talking about the companies that basically go out of business because they lack capital in a year, 6 months, 2 years. We're talking about companies that really have legitimate businesses. They have employees, they contribute something to society, and their lifespan is 12 years or less. If they become really dominant, they've got about 60 years in their life, and that's it. Lifespans are declining, not the human lifespan for the most part, but the things that humans create, the lifespan from birth to death, they are declining. The only thing that doesn't decline in lifespan are discoveries. The discovery of electricity will exist forever. The discovery of fire will exist forever. The discovery of microwaves will exist forever. the discovery of subatomic particles, the discovery of the atom. These discoveries last forever. The inventions based on top of those discoveries have a lifespan. That lifespan is getting shorter and shorter as technological innovation gets faster and faster. And it's important to understand this because this is one of the fundamental keys to understanding money, that the very money that you're working for has a lifespan, and what you're working for is dying. The very thing that you have been taught from almost the time you were born is dying. You were taught to work for a money that is dying. You were taught to give your life for a money that is dying in your hands right now, in your bank account right now, in your life savings right now, in your 401k right now. What you have been taught to worship your whole life, what you've been taught to get educated for, what you've been taught to get more skilled for is dying. You have been sold a dying item, and his death is as certain as night follows day. Now, what makes your money a dying item, an item that will constantly and forever lose its value, will never stay the same. It will never go up. Your money can never go up, ever, not for a second, not for a minute. The concept that your money goes up in value is a lie. It can't go up. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you a metaphor or an example to show you how money gets debased, how and why it will decline on you forever, and why you are sold the notion that it doesn't decline. So this is what I call theft. I call theft when we are forced to work to give our lives, our effort, our energy, our skill, our intelligence, our know-how, our time. We give all of this, and all of that is the stuff that life is made up of. Life is made up of my time. Life is made up of my energy. Life is made up of who I am, what I know, how knowledgeable I am, and how skillful I am. That is me. That is my life. I give that to someone or something. And in exchange for me giving my life, I receive the representation of my life in the form of something that is practically dead already and that is dying more and more. The moment I receive the representation of my life, it starts dying on me more. And this is theft. It's the theft of my time. It's the theft of my life. It's the theft of my energy. It's the theft of my skill. Everything I've invested in to make this representation of my life, this money, is dead. And it's dying on me faster and faster and faster. It no longer does what it did last year. It no longer does what it did last week. It no longer does what it did last hour, and it no longer does what it did last second. It is dying on me, and this is the theft of me. This is the theft of my time. This is the theft of my energy. And people don't see it because the number painted on the piece of paper doesn't change. And therein lies the trick, my fellow friends. The fact that the number on the piece of paper stays the same while the value invisible to you declines. What if the dollar bills, the $100 bills in your pocket, what if the digits changed every second to reflect its value? What if you earn a $100 bill, put it in your pocket, and it vibrated? The $100 bill vibrated in your pocket as it changed numbers from 100 to 98 to 92 to 91 to 85 to 82 to 61 to 50. If your money changed in your pocket or the number of your money changed in your bank account, or it changed in your cookie jar, or the numbers on the bills that you stuff in your mattress changed, you would see this as a far more serious problem. But you have been lulled to sleep because the artist that paints the number on the bill made sure that the number stays the same while the value gets sucked away from it. And you still believe, because the number on the bill didn't change, that the number's the same. But yet $100 in 1913 today is worth $2.76. But yet the $100 bill has the same number painted on it, 100. It's worth $2.76, but it has the same number painted on it. So you get duped into believing that it's the same $100 that your great grandparents had. And the reason why this is lost is because the elite and the powers that be, they control the loss of purchasing power. They control the supply. They make sure that it's so slow, it's slow enough so as not to be detected by the human eye. It's slow enough not to be felt day to day. In fact, it's slow enough, it used to be slow enough not to be felt from one generation to the next. But it is speeding up as all debased currencies do. They start off debasing slow. They start off losing their value slow enough to where my kids don't see the difference from the value of the money I used to work for, but their kids do. It used to skip a generation. Then it moved faster to where my kids have a harder time buying a house than I had a harder time buying a house. Their world is tougher. Their world is harder. It is harder for them to leave their parents and start an independent life. So we moved from that being so slow that it skipped a generation. Then it got faster to where it no longer skips a generation. My kids feel it. I see it. My kids have a harder time than I did. Their money is different. It buys less than the money I used to work for. And now it's so fast that the same generation sees it from 5 years and 10-year periods. Where, my God, do you remember? On my walk home from my school to my mother's library, I used to buy a 10-cent slice of pizza. Do you know what a slice of pizza is in New York City today? You can get one for $12, $13. It's crazy. I used to buy a slice for 10 cents. That's in my lifetime. So the debasement of the money that we are forced to work for and have no choice. We have no choice to work for another money. We are told that you work for this money. We are told that you must give your life for this money. And there is no other money that you can earn. There is nothing else for you to work for. You work for this or you die. This is coercion. This is slavery, and this is theft. Now, the money we are forced to work for is siphoned away from us, and it's done on purpose. It is siphoned away, like to create this melting ice cube effect, so that $100 in 1913 is only $2.76 today. That value went somewhere. Listen to me carefully, Bitcoiners. Listen to me carefully, traders. Listen to me carefully, supporters, haters, all of you. Listen to this. The $100 from 1913 to the $2.76 a day, that loss of purchasing power went somewhere. It went to someone. It didn't just disappear in the ether. And it wasn't just a mistake. It didn't happen by chance. This is purposeful. It is financial slavery to make sure that the generation today must work harder and that your children born on this plantation must work harder than you. This is how the system is maintained. This is how there's less and less odds of an uprising, of a revolt, of a break away from the system. If we make it harder every generation, if we make it harder every 5 years, if we make it harder every 10 years, you will have to run in place more to get the same thing. That working for a $100 bill must take you longer next year than it takes you this year. That getting the same $100 of value is not going to take you 2 hours anymore. It's going to take you 3 hours this year. And next year is going to take you 4 hours. And the next year is going to take you 5 hours. And this is how your time is controlled. This is how your life is controlled. And there is no choice. There is no choice to work for something else. You are told what token to work for. You are forced to work and give your life for this token. And it is glorified to have a lot of tokens. A token that you don't control, a token that's not really yours, a token that's in the hands of another man to diminish on you at will and at whim. This is insane. And to think that most people are asleep to their slavery. Most people are asleep to this. They don't understand money. They don't understand what debasement is. They don't understand the fact that every single currency trends towards zero. They have no clue that it's impossible for a currency to be strong. It's only strong in relationship to the basket of other currencies it's compared to. But the entire basket is going to hell in a handbasket. They're all going to zero. And mind you, I am talking about the world reserve currency, the US dollar. I am talking about the loss of purchasing power of the very best one. Let's not even get on the topic of the crappier ones. This is the supreme one. This is the strong one. This is the one that the world wants right now. The one that has lost $100 to $2.76 in a matter of 100 years. And it's always declining faster and faster and faster. It will not take another 100 years to lose another 98%. It'll lose 98% in less time, and then 98% again in less time, and 98% in less time, and it will go ad infinitum, ad infinitum until it's over. Until it's over. And joins that big, giant cemetery of tens of thousands of others that did the same thing. Now, some people might not have a very thorough understanding of how is this really theft, Oliver? And how can you say that the loss of the purchasing power went to someone? Isn't it just that things become more expensive? No, things don't become more expensive. Wake up. How does that even make sense? How does a loaf of bread in 1913, why should that loaf of bread be more expensive today? What is it? Is it the cure for cancer today and it wasn't the cure for cancer in 1913? Haven't the economies of scale become better today than in 1913? Aren't the processes that are required to make that loaf of bread better today? Isn't the technology better? No, the price should be going down. It's going up. It looks like it's going up because your money is going down. My mother bought a home for $33,000 in the year 1971. $33,000 in 1971. She sold that home for $850,000. She never built on the home. The neighborhood got worse over the years. The house wasn't as good a shape as it was in 1971, and she sold it from $33,000 to $850,000. Did the value of the house really, really increase? No, it got worse. The neighborhood got worse. The house got older. How can you have been tricked to believe that the value of the house went up? No, the value or the purchasing power of your money went down. The house didn't go up at all. Prices don't go up, people. They go down. All prices trend towards zero. All currencies trend towards zero. All companies trend towards zero. All empires trend towards zero. All world powers trend towards zero. Everything trends towards zero. And if anything is not trending towards zero, it's fake. If anything is going the other way, it's manipulated. If anything is going up, it's a lie. It's not the truth. Everything trends towards zero. Now, let me give you an example, a metaphor, if you will, of how value is stolen from us, and it's called things like inflation, but it's really theft. Oh, inflation's a fancy word for theft. All right. So here's how value is stolen, right? The $100 bill in 1913 is now $2.76. That difference was stolen from the entire race of humans that use the dollar. Every single citizen paid their value to someone. That value did not just disappear. It went somewhere. Someone benefited and had every single person pay them their value. And let me give you an example of how that happens. I know I keep saying that, but I'm going to get to it right now. All right. I don't know how many people are familiar with baseball. My father was a minor league baseball player before he got injured and ruined his career. His dream was always to be a baseball player, which pretty much meant that I grew up in a baseball home. Okay. I grew up in a baseball home. Anyway, let's take a scenario where there are 4 rare baseball cards of a famous baseball player. These 4 cards are the only 4 cards of this player in existence. Okay? Famous baseball player from the 1920s. There's only 4 cards in existence. The cards are so rare that each one of the 4 cards reaps a $25,000 valuation, which means that they're going for $25,000 a piece. A baseball card, $25,000. That's a freaking down payment for a house. Crazy, all right? So there are 4 in existence. Each one is valued at about $25,000 in good condition, which means that the total valuation of these 4 cards is $100,000. These 4 cards represent $100,000 in value. The card company that made these cards, they decide one day, you know what? Let's create another card. Let's just create another card and sell it for $25,000. So the card company literally creates a new one. They control the supply, right? They create a new one of these cards. They sell it instantly in the marketplace for $25,000 because the rest of the world believes that one of the 4 cards became available. The card company gets the full 25,000. Now that when it becomes recognized that there's no longer 4 cards, there's 5 cards, the entire valuation of each one of the 5 cards changes. It drops. Every card now is worth 20,000 because a 5th card has been introduced to the economy of $100,000. So I ask you, if before the card was created, each card was worth $25,000, and after a new card was printed and sold for 25, and after the sale of 25,000, there's an adjustment in the value of all the other now 5 cards to 20,000. Where did the 25,000 come from that went to the card company that decided to create a 5th one? It came from all the other 4 card holders. Their value was 25,000. Now each of their value is 20,000. So each one gave up $5,000 in wealth to the card company that got the full 25,000. So each one contributed 5,000 to give their value to the card company because the card company decided to print another one. And if the card company prints another one, it will get the full value right away of what the entire market is saying is the value before that new one is introduced. They will get the full value. And then after they get the full value, everything adjusts. And at the end of the day, all the other pre-existing holders of the card have given up value so that the card printer can get new value. Now, the Federal Reserve banks, these are the card companies. And they who control the Federal Reserve Bank, oh, you know someone controls the Federal Reserve Bank, right? You know that that is what I'm referring to when I call the elites of our society, right? The ones that hold, the ones that are the card company, the ones that control the money, the ones that force you to work for that money, the ones who create the money, the ones who control the supply of that money. Don't think that that's done automatically just out of thin air. Someone controls those decisions. And so it's these people, it's this group in society. They've always existed throughout the entire human experience. These elites that control the money and the supply of that money and control the laws that make you work for their money because they created, you work for their baseball card. It's my baseball card, and you can't work for another baseball card. And I control the supply of the baseball cards. And I am saying that the value of the baseball card is this. Now that you, through that, I hope that example explained to you how the loss of purchasing power, the loss of value of the baseball card, which is your dollars, the loss of value of your currency is because it's being siphoned off by new units, new baseball cards that are being added to the system. And those who initially release or add get the full value while everyone else suffers a reduction in value. Why would anyone at that elite position ever want to stop this? Why would anyone in that position want to stop debt from rising if rising debt creates the perfect excuse for debasement of the currency? Why would the elite want to remove anything that makes it appropriate to steal this way, to confiscate this way, to debase in value? Why would solutions be desirable if the very broken things give the green light to steal more of the world's value? There are going to be no solutions. Get this in your head right now. There are going to be no fixes. The very broken things help the theft, promote the confiscation, encourage and make it acceptable the debasement of your wealth, the theft of your time. There are going to be no solutions. There is nothing coming to fix this. There is no getting better. But the first time in the history of this whole system, something magically got through the cracks. Something got through the cracks that's the solution to all of this. That's the freedom train out of this trap. It's called Bitcoin. And while Bitcoin quietly, stealthily, and ever so artfully came into existence and grew under the radar, grew, while it could be killed in its earlier years, while it could have been halted, while it could have been stopped, miraculously it wasn't. And at this particular stage, it can't be stopped. At this particular stage, Bitcoin is the closest thing that we know to invincibility. And it is specifically designed to be the exact opposite of what I just explained to you. It is the exact opposite of the debasement of currency system that is in place today. It's designed to be the opposite. So if currencies have been declining in value for thousands of years, currencies have been going to zero. For thousands upon thousands of years, they have all been going to zero. Then if currencies have been going to zero for 1,000 years and Bitcoin is designed to be the opposite of that, then Bitcoin will be going up in value for thousands upon thousands of years. Guys, I am telling you, get this, or you're going to be trapped in this slave trap forever. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. I told you why it's getting worse, because the speed at which theft occurs, the speed at which the duration of things happen get faster and faster over time. So theft goes from skipping a generation to theft being every generation to now theft being every few years. And it's only going to get faster. But we have an out today. Imagine being the opposite side of the coin. Imagine if the system that is the theft-based system is tails and Bitcoin becomes heads. It's the exact opposite of what everything does. Every currency goes to zero. Every currency trends towards zero forever. And Bitcoin being the exact opposite, by default, has to go up in value forever. It's designed to be the exact opposite. Currencies are debased. Bitcoin cannot be debased. Currencies are controlled. Bitcoin is not controlled by any human being on planet Earth. Currencies have an issuer. Bitcoin has no issuer. Currencies are centralized. central banks. Currencies are centralized. Bitcoin is decentralized. Are you getting it? Are you getting that it's literally the mirror opposite? And so you can be as certain, as I'm always fond of saying, as night follows the day. You can be as certain as that Bitcoin will rise in value, and it will rise in value for the rest of your life. It'll rise in value for the rest of your kids' lives and their kids' lives and their kids' lives. Why? Because currencies will continue to trend towards zero for all of your life, for the lives of your children, and for the lives of their children too. And Bitcoin is designed to do the opposite of what currencies do. So if currencies are going to decline towards zero forever, including all the new ones that come into existence. The new ones will come into existence and they'll decline towards zero. New ones will come into existence and they will decline towards zero. All the currencies will continue to decline towards zero, which means that for throughout that time, forever, Bitcoin will rise in value throughout, indefinitely. It's crazy when you see this. This is something that is so powerful that when you see it, you can't unsee it. That when it grips you, you can't be undone. It can't be undone. Your eyes never shut anymore. You can't be fooled anymore. You can't be duped anymore. And so how do we escape? We're still forced to work for the slave coin, right? We're still forced to work for a money that's a group of men created and convinced all of their citizens to work for it. It was literally created out of thin air. They got artists to paint symbols on it and numbers in the four corners of it. And we were taught our whole lives that this is your purpose here, to be born, to get educated, and to work for my money until you die. And this will be the plight of you, your offspring, and their offspring. And my offspring will continue, and their offspring will continue to benefit from being able to siphon off value from you anytime we want. And the only escape we have today is Bitcoin, where we must go on the plantation and work for the slave coin. But we now have something to take a portion of that slave coin and exchange it for something far superior, Bitcoin. We don't have to do it with all of it. We still need the slave coin to maybe pay our rent, our mortgage. We need the slave coin to pay taxes. But whatever is left over, whatever is not needed, I can flip now and exit the system gradually, exit the slave system gradually by putting a portion over here. This is outside of the system. This is not debased. This is not controlled. This is not issued by anyone. And it is designed to go up in value, which means that over time, it will save my life. Over time, it will deliver freedom to me and my family. Will it happen overnight? No. But it will happen as certain as night follows the day. That if I keep doing this, it will take care of me. Why? Because it is the system's kryptonite. It's designed to be the exact opposite of what I'm escaping from. And no one can stop it. Wake up, people. Oh, people, this is your wake up call. Wake up. Because I am telling you, the window of opportunity to get this freedom in decent amounts is very, very small. This will outprice you. This will outrun you. Bitcoin's downdrafts are not bad. You see them as bad. And what a grave mistake. Bitcoin's downdrafts, Bitcoin's down moves are benevolence. Bitcoin's down moves, what you call crashes, are nothing more than the freedom train that you missed being kind to you to come back for you. Bitcoin's declines are its bleeding heart for you. Bitcoin's declines, is it doubling back to come get you because you missed the last train trip? Bitcoin's declines are not negative. Bitcoin's declines are not bad. Bitcoin's declines are your gifts. They're my gifts. They're our renewed opportunity to jump on board. Bitcoin shows us the way, then comes back, and it shows us the way, then comes back for those who missed it. You're going to miss it again if you don't wake up. Because when it comes back, it's going to come back higher and higher and higher and higher. Its crashes, what you call its crashes, what I call Bitcoin's benevolence, gets higher and higher and higher. It's been crashing from 10 cents. It's been crashing from $1. It's been crashing from $10. It's been crashing from $1,000. It's been crashing from $20,000. It's been crashing from $70,000 for its entire lifetime. It's been crashing. What you call crashing is that it's been coming back for you for 14 years. It hasn't been crashing. It's been coming back for you. It's been doubling back for you. It's been shouting from the mountaintops and telling you, I'm coming back down for you. Do you believe me now? I'm coming back for you. And when it comes back for you, you won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. You call it a crash. You call it too volatile. You call it negative. Meanwhile, it is proving to you by beating every single metric, every single measurement we have for anything in the world. It is beat and overcome. And you still won't accept its benevolence. That is wild to me. People, wake up. Because the next time, you're going to have to work a lot harder. And then the next time after that, a lot harder. This is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to get out of that funk, to break the spell that has been cast on you, to believe that it is better holding the slave coin than the freedom coin. You got to wake up. You got to pierce through and see the matrix for what it freaking is. Otherwise, you're going to die on the same hamster wheel, running faster and faster your whole life, but increasingly feeling like I'm falling behind. And I don't know why. My kids are worse off than me, and I don't know why. And their kids are going to be worse off than them, and I don't know why. Wake up. All right, let me take some of your questions here, guys. I don't want to keep you too long today. What are some of your questions here? You guys don't ask questions. Get out of here. You guys don't ask questions. Saktoshi says, this brother is preaching. You damn Skippy. You're damn right. Guys, I will tell you this. I do occasionally get the question, Oliver, why do you do this? All right. Why do you do this? Why do you waste your time with us? Why do you answer silly questions? Why do you deal with all the people that hate on you for being a Bitcoin advocate? Because when you see this, if you have even the smallest measure of a heart, if you have even one iota of empathy, it's almost like you can't share it. Like, how do you see an escape and not point to it for all the people who are with you? How do you do that? What kind of human being does that? I see an escape and I don't point it out to you. What a terrible human being. I can't keep this secret. I'm sorry. I can't not point. I can't force you. I can't make you, but I can't not point. It's just the way I'm wired, I guess. I'm a pointer. And all I can do is point at what I believe I've seen in a deep way, in a deep enough way to radically change my outlook on the whole system and life itself. Calvin says the sad part of the money theft is that we are still taxed on top of the theft. That is so very true, that there are layers of tax. There are layers of theft. So some people would argue that paying taxes is a theft in and of itself. Taxes didn't exist forever, right? It's a relatively new phenomenon. Well, I can't say it's a new phenomenon, but there was a time when there were no taxes in the United States in particular, right? But anyway, yes, the silent tax is the debasement of the eroding of your purchasing power. That's a silent tax or a silent theft. The blatant in your face theft is, on top of this, the value that's been taken from you. You need to pay half of that. And if you want to escape to another slave plantation, another country, you have to pay an exit tax on top of that. So you are trapped. If you want to get on a plane, try getting on a plane and taking your wealth with you. I guarantee you miss your flight. Try to take $50,000 in cash out of the bank. First of all, try to get it out of the bank. Then try to take $50,000. If you manage to get $50,000 out of the bank, I doubt it. But if you manage to get lucky enough to get a bank that will give you $50,000 of your own wealth, try to get on a plane and go to a different country with it. I guarantee you don't make it. I guarantee you miss your flight. I guarantee you spend hours under investigation. Why are you trying to escape the plantation? Why are you trying to leave this system? That money doesn't belong to you. It belongs to us. What are you doing? Wake up, guys. Wake up. Can or should we spend our sats between Bitcoiners to maintain the movement or just accumulate Bitcoin? This is a very, not only is it a very intelligent question, it is a question that is very, very dominant in the Bitcoin space. And I believe it's very misunderstood. There are many people that believe that Bitcoin's a currency, so it should be moving. You should be spending it. Maybe, some people say I should suspend it and replace it. I should be buying hot dogs and milkshakes with it. And I should be going to the movies with it and buying my groceries with it. But this is a fallacy. Bitcoin is an emergent currency. It is not a currency. It is emergent. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean it's incomplete. Like your 14-year-old is not an adult. It's an emergent adult. But I don't care how mature your 14-year-old is. I don't care how smart or intelligent. I don't care what grades they get in their classes. A 14-year-old is still a child in a way. And it is not adult. It's not emotionally an adult yet. Not experientially an adult yet. And Bitcoin is a 14-year-old asset. It is emerging. It's emerging in an incredible way. Oh, of course, without doubt. but it is not a currency yet and should not, in my opinion, be treated as such. And another thing, this leads to the fact that many people misunderstand the fact that money, in order to be a true money, must go or should go through four major stages of evolution. This evolutionary process has four stages, right? So the first stage is that usually it's a trinket. It's something that is very niche oriented. It's a very select and small specialized group of people have an interest in this trinket. It's a trinket. It's a toy. It's a freaking token, you know? And Bitcoin had that period of being a trinket for computer geeks and nerds and cypherpunks, libertarians. Very niche, trinket, collectible. That's the collectible phase. And then as enough people join the collectible phase, it naturally, without being forced there, without being marketed to go there, without being promoted and prodded and pushed there, it naturally starts becoming a store of value as more and more people see that the collectors actually have this growing group of collectors see this as valuable. And it starts to morph into a store of value. Maybe I don't have the same views as those that collected it years ago. Maybe I don't have the same views as the libertarians. Maybe I don't have the same views as the cypherpunks. Maybe I don't have the same views as the computer scientists, the crypto, the computer scientists that got involved with it, the technicians that got involved with it early. I may not see Bitcoin or understand it like they do, or understand it differently, or see it differently, or have different belief systems than they do, but I now see it as a store of value. So it moves from being a collectible in a small niche bunch of people to it growing and morphing itself into a store of value for a wider and wider group of people of different faiths and beliefs and ideas. A store of value is neutral. It doesn't care what you believe, what God you worship, what your mindset is, whether you eat beef or a vegan or whatever. It's just a freaking store of value. And that's the stage that Bitcoin is in now. Now, you can't force the next stage, medium of exchange, before it becomes a deeper and deeper and bigger and more ubiquitous store of value. So Bitcoin is in this emergent store of value stage where more and more people need to hoard it, need to hold it, need to put their extra life savings into it to hold and protect. When almost everyone has some portion of Bitcoin, won't it naturally start trading amongst each other? Of course. No one has to get on a soapbox to promote medium of exchange after that point. No one has to push it. No one has to argue about the fact that you should be spending it. It will naturally start to be spent when enough people have it. When people start to demand it. Guys, there are certain things that I will only demand Bitcoin for today. I'm not the only one that I will say, listen, you either find a way to get me Bitcoin for this or ciao. I'm not the only one. You're going to start doing that. More and more people are going to start doing that. That's going to become natural, that I don't want the slave coin anymore. I don't want the declining currency. I don't want the melting ice cube. Give me what doesn't melt. Give me what's not controlled. I would rather, for this, I will only take Bitcoin. And more people will start to do that. And that's what naturally creates a circular economy from Bitcoiner to Bitcoiner, but you can't force it. And let me tell you this, you don't want to force store of value stage in the evolution of a money, because that's the biggest price appreciation stage of the underlying asset that there is. You think that the collectible stage of Bitcoin was something, right? Bitcoin became the most successful asset in the history of human mankind. There is nothing on earth that has risen in value faster. It is, in 14 years, it's become one of the top 15, amongst the top 15 assets that have ever existed in the entire world. It's in the top 25 currencies out of all 200 currencies in the entire world. And it has beat every single performance metric that has ever existed for any asset. And it has done all of this before its 14th birthday. It's a kid. And yet that period of beating the world at all of its metrics, that period is going to be put to shame by this new period that we're in now, which is the store of value period. The store of value period is when the real meteoric rises in value happen, because by virtue of the majority of people storing it, you increase the scarcity of the asset while the demand is exploding for that asset. And that's when you don't get the biggest up moves in the value when people are letting go of it all the time. You get the biggest explosion in value when no one is letting go of it. And so I am here to tell you, mark my words, you heard it here first. You ain't seen nothing yet. You haven't seen what meteoric rises in value are yet. Bitcoin is just freaking getting warmed up. It is only now entering the store of value phase. It's the value phase. It's highest price appreciation phase of all four phases. After enough people have this throughout the world, it naturally starts being traded back and forth, becomes a medium of exchange. And then after spending a good deal of time as a medium of exchange, people start to naturally price things in Bitcoin, in Satoshis. Give me 4 million Satoshis for that. I'll take 4 million Satoshis. That's when it becomes unit of account. When you start thinking in terms of Satoshis, when things start being priced in terms of Satoshis, and at that stage, it's taken over. I see a day not too far in the future. I see a day when you are traveling throughout Europe, let's say, and you know how you see these signs in different languages. All right, this costs this in euro, this costs this in British pounds. And British, if you want to, this is the price in euro, this is the price in British pounds, this is the price in US dollars, just so that you can judge it based on your unit of account. And then Bitcoin is going to be there, or Satoshis is going to be there. So you're going to see priced in euro, price in British pound, price in dollars, price in Bitcoin. And then one by one, the others are going to just fall off. And what will be remaining is Bitcoin, because it's the only freaking universal one. Think about this, guys. The only item that is truly universal in the entire world is Bitcoin. The dollar came the closest of all monies to be universal. And each rendition of money is better. And the next rendition of money after the dollar is Bitcoin. And now it is truly universal. There's not a single corner of the earth that can't be in. You can't go anywhere today and say the word Bitcoin and no one's never heard it. And it's only 14 years old. Crazy. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. Bitcoin only. Thank you very much. It says great spaces. Bitcoin only is asking me, does that change anything for you? Bitcoin at 10,000? It doesn't change anything for me. Oh, oh my God. 10,000 Bitcoin? Uh, oh my God. All right, sorry about that, guys. That is a very pleasurable thought. I'll tell you why it's pleasurable for me, because I get a chance if Bitcoin were to drop to 10,000, and it's not. But if it were, if I happen to be wrong, not a 0% chance, I would get an opportunity to do at 10,000 what I should have done when it was at 10,000. I got into Bitcoin. My lowest entry price was $3,800. Remember it like yesterday. And I witnessed Bitcoin just blast through 10,000 and basically skip right to 19,000 and change. I wish I did more at 10,000 than I did. And you mean the Freedom Train might back up to the station called 10,000, the train station, and say, ring the bell and say, for all of those who got left behind, I've come back for you. The doors are going to shut soon, so get in quickly. Oh my God. I would love it. I would love it, because I know it is impossible for it to stay there. Why? Because it's specifically designed to be the opposite of what can't ever go up over time and can only go down. So Bitcoin can only go up over time. And I also know that it will never fail in 4 and 5 year periods. Never. Not in your lifetime, not in your kids' lifetimes, not in anybody's lifetime. And so, with that unshakable knowledge, with that unshakable truth, you could throw any price at me under today's price. And it will only mean one thing to me. You mean I can get more for fewer slave coins? I can get more freedom coin for fewer slave coins? Where do I sign up for that? Bring it on. Bring it on. All you do when you lower the USD value price of Bitcoin, all you do is drive it more in the hands of people like me who will never let it go. That's all you're doing. All you're doing is making it scarcer. All you're doing is setting up a bigger future for it. So I say, bring on your US dollar lower price. Bring it on. Because all you're doing is making it better, making it scarcer, and setting up an even bigger future for it. So do all the manipulation you want to. Do all the future selling you want to. Do all the FUD articles you want to. All you're doing is making it better, bigger, less abundant, more scarce, and therefore more powerful in its future. Bring it. Someone told me the other day, I said, Oliver, you're crazy. And I'm like, duh, you're just figuring that out now? My God, you're slow. All right, guys. Listen, I love you to death. I love these spaces. I'm going to go now, but listen, I do want to take a moment out to thank you. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the supporters, even the haters. You're always there. That's fine. You do add a certain spice to life as well. Um, I enjoy your stupidity. I enjoy it. It's comical to me at times, so I love that. But I want to thank you for taking out portion of what is really the most valuable commodity you have, even more valuable than Bitcoin, or at least equivalent, is your time. And some people would argue that Bitcoin is time. So thank you very much for giving me that. I am going to try to do these with a certain degree of frequency. I hope they're serving a purpose. I hope they're making some of you think. I'm hoping they're making some of you see deeper. And if it isn't, I promise I'll do my best to get a little bit better every single time. My name is Oliver Velez, and I am your 13%er Bitcoiner. Be safe out there, and until next time. Boom!